On the morning of March 18th, 1963, a 16-year-old girl named Ieleen Welch was chatting with her friends outside of her high school in Yorkshire, England. It was a few minutes before first period, and there were dozens of other students milling around outside the school, waiting for the bell to ring. Ieleen was holding an armful of books and telling her friends about what she had done over the weekend, when suddenly she began to scream. At that same exact moment, Eileen's friend, who had been standing with her just a moment ago, watched as Ieleen just began to rise into the air. There was nothing around her lifting her up. She just began inexplicably raising into the air, like 30 feet into the air, and she's screaming. And like this friend, she's looking up at her, and all around her, all the other students, they're looking up at Ieleen, just being suspended in air by some phantom force. And Ieleen, she's screaming, and then suddenly she comes careening down and slams into the ground so hard, then everybody's just screaming like mad. And someone began running towards the school, yelling for someone to call an ambulance. Ieleen was rushed to the hospital, clearly in agonizing pain with multiple broken bones, severe internal injuries, and the first responders and the doctors at the hospital and the medical staff, they did everything they could to save her. But just 2 hours after she smashed into the ground from, falling from 30 feet in the air somehow, she died. When police went back to the school to begin their investigation into what happened, detectives literally could not believe the dozens of eyewitness accounts. The detectives questioned 37 students and teachers who were all outside that day that watched what happened to Ieleen. And all of them told the same story, that Ieleen, out of nowhere, just suddenly rose into the air like 30 feet, and she held up there for a second, and then came smashing down. Now, at first, the police just didn't believe the stories they were being told. They're thinking there's got to be more to this story. People don't just raise into the air and smash back down again. That doesn't happen. But when all these accounts were the same, and they all had the same amount of conviction behind them that these people, they saw this, the police realized, this is apparently what happened. And so they began to assume that the only way this could have happened is that this was some product of a bizarre weather phenomenon or something, like a mini tornado, lifted her into the air or something. So they actually brought in several meteorologists into this investigation. But the meteorologists concluded that what everyone claimed to have witnessed was basically scientifically impossible. Because in order for the wind to pick someone up the way they described Ieleen being picked up, the winds would need to be blowing at least 110 miles per hour. And there were no winds of anywhere near that speed reported anywhere in England that morning. And even if there had been a sudden gust of wind that was able to lift Ieleen up, the reason that still couldn't have happened the way it was described is Ieleen was near other people in close proximity. There's no way that she would be the only one affected. Other people would have been blown into the sky, but nobody was. It was just Ieleen. To this day, none of the 37 witnesses have changed their stories, and there has never been a scientific explanation for what happened to Ieleen. And so the cause of her death, to this day, remains a mystery.